It all starts with a story. You were a normal kid, done your studies, got your favorite job. A normal, beautiful life. A year went by. Suddenly, you got behind bars. Why? You didn't pay tax. Not really. You won't get behind bars, but you have to pay a penalty. Penalty? P? Peanut? Penalty. Yes. But you don't want that, right? So what can we do? We will learn about taxation. So, what exactly is taxation? Taxation is the means by which a government or taxing authority imposes or levies tax on its citizens and business entities, mainly for growth and development of the country, creating employment opportunities, and so on. Fun fact: in 1698, Russia's Peter the Great introduced a beer tax. Basically, you have to pay tax for having a beer. Call that absurd. Now, let's talk about private and public goods. Private goods are goods and services consumed by people to satisfy their personal needs and wants. That includes food articles, clothing, shelter, and so on. These goods are priced in the market on the basis of their cost of production and nature of demand. Now let's talk about public goods. Public goods can be collective ones and are needed and demanded by all members of the society. They include transportation, healthcare, education, and so on. Now let's talk about tax. What is a tax? Tax is a compulsory contribution made by the people to the government, which is used for providing public services. So, tax is a compulsory payment or contribution by the people to the government for which there is no direct return to the taxpayers. People should be taxed according to their ability to pay. Tax is mainly imposed to improve public goods, so forth the development of the society. There are certain objectives for taxation. They are to raise revenue for government expenditure, to remove inequalities in income and wealth, to ensure economic stability, to create employment opportunities. There is more. Anyway, in the past, some great personalities have said some things about taxation. The notable ones are: Kautilya once said, taxation should not be a painful process for the people. There should be leniency and caution while deciding the tax structure. Ideally, governments should collect taxes like a honeybee which sucks just the right amount of honey for the flowers so that both can survive. Taxes should be collected in small and not in a large proportion. And Kalidas once said, it was only for the good of his subjects that he collected taxes from them, just as the sun draws moisture from the earth to give it back 1,000-fold. Like they said, tax isn't supposed to hurt people, but to help them grow by providing for them with the help of taxation. Now, taxing concept revolves around three elements. They are impact of tax, incidence of tax, and shift in burden. Now let's talk about impact of tax. Impact of tax means the immediate result of imposition of a tax on a person. Impact can be felt by the person whom tax is collected from. If an individual's income exceeds basic exemption limit, then the impact of tax falls on that person. And impact means immediate burden, not the ultimate burden of tax. The burden of the tax can be shifted from one person to another. Now let's talk about incidence of tax. It is the final resting place of the burden of tax payment. If the person who pays the tax cannot transfer or shift the burden of the tax to anybody else, then the incidence and impact are on the same person. And lastly, shift in the burden. It is the process of transferring the tax burden from one person to another. Shifting in tax burden may be forward or backward. Forward shifting of tax is when the producer shifts tax burden on the consumers. And backward shifting is when the producer shifts the burden to the suppliers. Now, on the basis of impact and incidence, tax can be classified as direct and indirect tax. Firstly, direct tax. A direct tax is a tax in which the impact and incidence falls on the same person and the burden cannot be shifted from one person to another. Examples: income tax, wealth tax, property tax, and so on. Now let's talk about indirect tax. Indirect tax is a tax in which the tax burden can be transferred to another. The impact and incidence will be on different person. Examples: GST, excise duty, custom duty, and so on. Conclusion: we have reached the end and we have talked about a lot, like taxation, tax, private and public goods, impact, incidence and shift in burden, direct and indirect tax. Now, as far as we can say that taxation is an important aspect of succession of the government to continue providing for the society and for the growth and development of the country, since taxation is the biggest income of the government. And that's it from me.